I'm responding to question. If I wanted to become the fire ambassador for Mexico, how would I go about doing that? Well, you would contact Washington, D.C., and you would write them an application style, sort of a syllabus of what you would plan on doing in Mexico in regards to how it would benefit the economies of both countries as far as firefighting services or materials or tools go. Rescue tools are huge because of rescue necessary operations that are very expensive to produce in countries like China and are more efficient when they're built in Mexico and sometimes India. But let's just say that these are heavy pieces of material, let's just say spanner wrenches and or Halligans, and they make them with steel here, but they also make them in Colombia. So why is that important? Okay, so the ambassador basically, he does reports back to the United States via the embassy. This is an unpaid position, but in the event of a person who is specializing in something like that, you would report back to DC as far as like the environmental impact it has, fires have on the ecology of the country. This is not good. There's really bad drivers here. Guys, really be careful when you come to Mexico. Get a fast car, like I got. Anyway, the economy, all those related tools, parts, fire sprinkler parts that are expensive to make, that are made inexpensively here in Mexico. Those would be topics that I would discuss at length, especially the cost to do business in Mexico as opposed to in China or in India or other steel producing, glass producing, plastic producing countries that do things right when you have good direction, you have good leadership. Very profitable to be in that industry. So it's good for the US economy in that regard. Now you're asking me the question, is this exportation of jobs? Well, I do not know a lot of people who like working in refineries. It's hot laborious work and it doesn't pay very good unless you're a machinist. So if you're a machinist and you're a tool maker, I would like to identify as a tool maker because that's what I do. I'm a tool maker, I'm a designer. I started off as a civil engineer for the United States military. Started in 1992, right after the kickoff of the Gulf War, where I spent the rest of that year in the Gulf War. And then returned to Hurlburt Field, which is the first Special Operations Wing of the United States Air Force. And I worked in this little company, not a little company, a squadron of civil engineers, which I learned plumbing, I learned electrical, I learned HVAC. So I learned all the trades in this 4-year span of school, which was on-the-job training after tech school. Now, when you go out of you get basic training, you go to tech school, or you go to AIT or whatever you do in the Army or what have you. And you have options of joining the Special Forces if they are recruiting at the time, which they normally are in basic, for the pararescue, which you will go swimming in very cold water, depending upon the time of year too. Okay, so it's not the SEALs, but it's good. And if that's what your thing is and you want to do that, well, that's what we're preparing people for right now here in Mexico. So let's say you're a young man that's 17, 18 years old. You're thinking about going in the military. Well, good for you. My hat's off to you. And you're not physically where you need to be. You're also not psychologically where you need to be. I can guarantee you that. Day one of basic training, it's going to make you think, why did I do this? And you would be so right. You would be so right to think so, because all this screaming and yelling, that is not made to motivate you. That's made to make you quit. And let me tell you something, my first day of basic training, the ones who quit were terrified, scared shitless. The thing about it is, if you can't quit, you can't go home right away. So you're stuck, and a lot of times they'll keep you there till the day everybody graduates and makes you watch. So If you get recycled, they send you back to day one. That's enough to make you want to quit. So that's another bonus. When you get a 341 pulled, that's a little piece of paper that says you did something bad, that the instructor said, hey, I didn't want you to do that, and you scream at you and give me a 341, and then you have, I guess you have 3 of them in your pocket or 2 of them in your pocket. Anyway, you're always supposed to have a certain amount in your pocket, and it needs to be a certain way and filled out a certain way, and if it's not, then that's another 341. And if you lose 3 of them in 1 week, I think that's what it is, then you get an unfavorable, and they recycle you for that. I think that was the rule. That was very hard. That was very, very hard. That was so hard because I think I had 341s pulled for no reasons, and they tried to put stuff in my uniforms, little pieces of paper, and they ended up putting it in my neighbor's uniform instead, and he didn't check the pockets, and they called me, and I was like, that's not my uniform, that's not my locker. And they were like, oh, and they look at the paper and they look at the locker, and the TI made a mistake. He was trying to get me. He was dialing in. He was dialing in on who he wanted to make an example of it that day. But he made a mistake because he put it in the wrong uniform. Put a little piece of paper, had my number on it. Yeah. So there's a fucking Ferrari behind me, and I'm going too slow for this guy. Was it a Lamborghini? I don't know. Can you guys see it? I don't know. It looks like a Lamborghini. Is that a fucking Lamborghini? Look at that. Let me get out of this fucking way just so you could get a nice view of that. Oh, that's, I don't know what that is. That's a Mclaren, I guess. He's going a little too fast for love here, baby. You're good though. But it is cool to see a Mclaren in the wild. That's cool. My God. What anyway? Back to what we were talking about. Military was a tough thing to get into. Then you got to go to tech school. So all the things that I'm teaching you about trades is all taught in the United States military tech schools, about tools, safety glasses, pumps, water pumps, pipes, tubing, how to connect, how to disconnect, how to fix leaks, how to repair underground, how to connect check valves. So all these things I'll probably discuss. You go into detail on that, you're better off. Be general, but you need to fill in the blanks, because an ambassador for